Canada's Civil War, how Canada invaded itself. This is a story of the October crisis in Canada. We need to go back to the early 60s where a big surge for Quebec independence were happening. And this far-left Marxist-Lenin organization called the FLQ formed. I won't try to pronounce its name. It's very difficult for an Anglophone. And they believed violence was the way to get Quebec sovereignty. For the FLQ, violence was the only way to freedom and sovereignty in their eyes. In 1960, the FLQ carried out bombings, bank robberies, and other forms of terrorism to get known and to get heard across Quebec and Canada. They even kidnapped an English diplomat, but that was later on. But we'll get to that later, how Pierre Elliott Trudeau declared, I think it was the Emergencies Act or something, where mass arrests happened. Now it's the 70s, and the Bloc Québécois wanted to get independence from political and peaceful ways, whilst the FLQ wanted violent ways to get sovereignty. The months and years following up to the October crisis, the FLQ carried out over 200 bombings in Canada to try to gain recognition. Well guys, on the 5th of October 1970, the FLQ kidnapped a British Trade Commissioner, James Cross, from his home. The FLQ demanded $500,000 and the release of other FLQ prisoners. The Canadian government immediately talked to the FLQ, but they couldn't come to an agreement. Now, October 10th, the FLQ kidnapped Pierre Laporte, the Vice Premier and Quebec's Minister of Labour. The FLQ said that he was a prisoner of war. 6 days later, Pierre Elliott Trudeau invoked the War Measure Act to give the government far more control, carried out mass arrests. 450 people, including supporters, activists, and even journalists, were arrested, and they could be arrested and held without a proper trial. And Pierre Elliott Trudeau, so a reporter asked him, how far will you go? And he said, watch me. No, I think it should have been invoked. But don't arrest journalists or people that have nothing to do with these violent causes. A day after the War Measures Act was invoked, they found the Vice Premier, Pierre, whatever his second name was, forgot. They found his body in the back of a trunk, outside an airport, which was very sad, escalating this to murder now. So this is extremely serious. In December, James Cross was released unharmed with a series of negotiations that took place. The people that done Pierre Laporte's murder were arrested, put on trial, and were in prison, thankfully. Well, now in Canada, if you murder someone, you're just out on bail in a few hours. Many people say there's 450 people that were arrested had no links to the FLQ whatsoever. And lots of critics said that this was just a horrible thing to do, and the government was just lying. The FLQ tried to gain support in America, but it never worked out. Then they went to Cuba. This is the story on how Canada declared war on its own province. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Have a lovely day, guys. By the way, I was learning this the same time you were. I was reading bits out, not actually seeing what happened before. I thought this would be a good idea to do. I've only heard about it before. I had no idea what it entailed, and I was reading it at the same time as knowing it. So, yeah, it's interesting. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Thank you.